Hello and welcome to another week of Core Balance Coaching. And this week's topic is going to be me showing you my kettlebell routine. It's a pre-recorded video, so I'll be putting that up right now. And it's going to be, for you core balance training students, it's kind of like you guys get the sneak preview on the raw footage that will eventually be turned into an actual YouTube video. So I'll be press and play on that right now. We also have a Student Hub Student of the Week, which I'll be announcing after that, and some updates about the Student Hub, how we are integrating that into the program, how we're using it, and it's been going really well in there. And I'm super grateful to the Core Balance team that's been running that and helping keep students accountable. And so why don't we get right into this kettlebell video? That way you guys can see that and ask any questions you have, and then we'll get into the rest of the stuff and the Q&A portion of the stream. Welcome to all of you who are here live, and I'm gonna go ahead and press play on this right now. So bear with me here. I think it's just like that. Hey, I'm Dr. Ryan Peebles. I'm the founder of Core Balance Training, and this is my kettlebell routine. It's specific for people with a history of lower back pain. The kettlebell can be an excellent tool when used correctly for strengthening the core. And so I want to just go through this very simple routine so that you can use a kettlebell in a way that will benefit your body and your core and strengthen the muscles that support your spine, rather than potentially cause harm or damage. So the very first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that your abdominal muscles are active. That's absolutely critical. And so if you're a core balance training student, you would just do your front and back anchors warm up. If not, find a way to make your abdominal muscles so that you can feel them, so that they feel that they're turned on. And once you do that, I always like to warm up in the motion with a little bit of just kind of deadlifting. So I get my feet wider than hip width. I have the kind of, I call it the spiral of stability. It's a different video, but I'm kind of like pushing out with my feet and it locks in all my joints, and I maintain that through the entire exercise. So it's kind of a rotation outward. Check out the other video about that if you're interested. And then I'm going to come down, hinging at the hips. This is a deadlift motion, and I'm gonna just do I'm gonna check the weight. I recommend a light weight to start, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, and then you can work up once you get the motion to a higher weight. So I'm gonna just feel the weight. That engages my core. The kind of test motion of a lift can engage the core. Okay, I'm engaged, and then I'm gonna come up and just do a few deadlifts. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling my abdominals pulling my pubic bone forward. So my abdominals and my glutes are doing the most of the work. So this is for the lower back, but we are not trying to use the lower back muscles. We're trying to use all the muscles around the lower back muscles to help support them and strengthen them. So once you've done a set or two of deadlifts, then you can start the swing. So I'm speeding through this for you. So do a full set or two of deadlifts, and then we can feel like we've really gotten our muscles engaged. We feel like we can do this hip hinge motion without pain. That's really important before you start the swing. Now with the swing, this is where it gets vulnerable. You want to start slow if you haven't done this before, because this is a way that you could hurt your lower back, or it's a way that you could really help your lower back. So I'm not trying to swing with my arms at all. My arms do nothing. The swing comes from basically hip thrusting, hip thrusting, hip thrusting, hip thrusting. And you can gradually increase the swing, and the power is the thrust. And it's coming from a combination of abdominals pulling the pubic bone forward and glutes driving the pubic bone forward from the back. So they work together as a force couple to provide this motion. And I'm not arching my back, I'm not arching my lower back. I am everything is coming through the hips. So if there's any kind of backward bending or extension motion, it's coming through here, not here. That's very important. So this should feel good. If it doesn't feel good, you need to stop, reset, and do something different. Exercises should always feel good if they're good for you. I don't believe that exercises should be painful and more pain, more gain if you're dealing with a chronic situation. So let's take it to another level. And we're gonna switch from a two-handed swing to a one-handed swing. And this is an excellent way to get the cross of abdominal muscles across your body. And so now I have a little more engagement on that right side, and it's just a different angle to engage my core. And I'm just, all the drive and motion is coming from my hips and my abdominals, and I can switch mid-swing. It takes a little bit of coordination, and I wouldn't let that distract you away from the priority of core engagement, glute and abdominal force couple. So you can come up with whatever number of repetitions that you want to do, and it can become a fun exercise. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of focus to be able to talk and do a video while doing this as well. So this is kind of my routine. Like I said, it's very simple. And when you try to slow down the weight, just kind of let gravity do it. Don't try to slow it down swinging with your lower back muscles. That's another way that this can be a vulnerable activity to do, but extremely beneficial when you do it the right way. So hopefully that helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to turn my mic back on so I don't make the same mistake I did last week. So hope you enjoyed that video. Like I said, that's raw footage, so it's kind of like sneak peek for you guys. We'll be editing that into just a normal YouTube video. It'll probably come out in a few weeks, who knows. So yeah, the topic for today was me sharing this because it's something that I do for myself and I haven't shared it before. That's the point I've gotten to with choosing topics. I would love to get some more recommendations. We do have some on the horizon that I'm going to be doing. We're going to do the foot for both people who are like me with high arches, which causes foot problems. Also, people with the opposite problem of a pronated foot or more flat feet, which causes a different kind of problem. So that might be two different videos. We're going to be doing a few more like talking topics that have been requested. But if you have any other demonstration topics, you want to see me do something, I would love to take suggestions or requests. Feel free to just post in the chat, and we will write them down because, like I kind of said, I've run out of demonstration type videos for now, and I'm just now showing things that I do for my own body. So let's get into. We'll do the Student Hub Student of the Week, and then we will get into the chat and answer some questions that I have seen posted already. So this week's Student Hub Student of the Week is, drum roll, Stephanie F. So she came in with a strong number of points in the last week, so a total of 1,341 points. That's from participating in the Student Hub challenges that are designed to help keep you accountable and doing your daily routine, gratitude, other virtues that I believe will help you have better outcomes in the program. Our CBT team has been doing an awesome job, so thank you guys. You know who you are, Asti, Melody, Kara, and the rest of the team supporting in all other ways. Super grateful for you guys. And so, yeah, for you, if you're a student, get in that Student Hub. There's lots of cool stuff going on in there. Challenges are a great way to earn points, and then also just participating in conversations, answering people's questions, responding, and there's other ways to earn points too. So you become the leader like Stephanie, we're going to reward you with 1 free month of core balance training. And that happens every week, new Student Hub Student of the Week. So congratulations, Stephanie. You've been participating a lot. And yeah, a huge number of points this month. And so you have to do nothing. We're going to add a month to the back end, from the back end. And that's that. So congratulations to you. And I guess that's kind of leads into the updates about the Student Hub. Like I announced last week, we reopened questions in the individual lessons. So that's the place where we are doing more exercise lesson related questions. And the Student Hub is now shifting more towards accountability, community, feeling like you are on this journey, not alone, but with tons of other people that are on the same journey as you, which is extremely valuable to be able to share your successes, share your aha moments, share your setbacks, share your troubles, and just feeling that sense of community. It takes a village to do a lot of things in life, and this is definitely one of those things. So let's get into the chat. Let's look at the chat, see if there's any questions. I want to prioritize questions because I've seen a couple specifically about kettlebell stuff. So I want to prioritize those, and then I will go to the top, start from the top, and answer all the questions up until a certain point when I can't keep up anymore. So here was one from Fuzzer. What alternatives might there be at home for a kettlebell? So I've thought about this when I don't have a kettlebell, like what can I swing? And a dumbbell is possible, but it's not really ideal. A kettlebell is designed ideally for swinging. And I don't know if there's anything else that I really recommend swinging. Maybe a jug of milk, like a milk gallon, because it has the handle and then the weight below it. So anything that could be an alternative for swinging in that same way, like between your legs, is going to be something that's shaped like a kettlebell. There's other tools for swinging, like a mace that people swing like over their head. It's more of a shoulder and upper thoracic mobility exercise. That's very advanced. I'm not even really, I'm not trained in that. So that I'm not there yet. But yeah, that's my answer to that one. Any other kettlebell questions? I guess I only saw that one. And so, here's one from Stein. The kettlebell video in the beginning of the stream, the minute I hinge my butt back, my glutes turn off. Could doing the hinge kneeling be a good regression? Not with a kettlebell, but doing a hinge kneeling, I feel like I need to get centered here. Doing the hinge kneeling, Stein, is going to be quite different biomechanically because you're putting if you're on a double kneel, both knees down, you're putting your hip flexors on tension, specifically your quad, your rectus femoris, and it does make it a little harder to maintain control of your pelvis, the pelvic tilt. So it does change it a little bit, but if you can get your glutes to activate, heck yeah, then whatever you can do to get them to activate, that's what you got to be doing, because I know a little bit about your history, Stein. Hello, Grant. Good to see you. It's good to see you on the stream, and you've got some advice for... nice. Oh, this is an answer to the question from before. So Grant is a trainer, so he actually interviewed me on a podcast. It was really awesome. We're going to be putting something out with that content pretty soon, and it is available already on Spotify, right, Grant? So really great interview, and so this is his suggestion. Wrap a small rolled up towel around the head of a dumbbell, and so you could create basically a handle on a dumbbell that is with the weight below the handle, and that's what's important. You got to have that. And yeah, you want to make sure it's locked around really well. So like tie it around really well. Great advice, Grant. All right, so let's start from the top here. We got Elizabeth. You won't be able to watch, but your question is, you're on day 7. You've been trying to correct your anterior pelvic tilt. It's kind of exhausting. Is this normal? 100% normal, yeah, and exhausting, I would say, would be more than normal. It's expected. This isn't something that you can correct in 1 week. This is, I mean, you can correct it instantly by squeezing your glutes, but to correct it in the way that it has a long-term effect, it requires changing the length-tension relationship of your muscles. So a little more tone in the muscles that maintain the pelvis in a neutral to posterior pelvic tilt, the glutes and the abdominals. Even the hamstrings do that as well. But we focus on the glutes and abdominals. They're more centralized to the core, and more length, more functional length and less, tone in the muscles that pull the pelvis anteriorly, which would be primarily the hip flexors and also the lower back muscles pulling up from the back. Those changes in that length tension take time. It takes not only changes to your neuromuscular system, which happens a little faster, but also physiologically to the makeup of the muscle. The cells of the tissues have to become longer or shorter, and so that those muscles the pelvis can rest in a more neutral position. That can take weeks, months, and so my advice about the exhausting is be patient, lower your expectation of how fast you can do that, and maybe it'll be less exhausting. Just the persistence of sticking with it day after day forever, because this isn't a problem that actually goes away. As long as we are in this modern day society where we sit a lot and we have chronic stress that we hold tension in our muscles, we're going to be dealing with this. So it's a constant battle. It's a constant dance that you play with your body, to credit Ellen, I think it was, who taught me that phrase. She was a former student. And so it can be less mentally exhausting to look at it from that long-term perspective. Moho Disco, CBT subscriber, module 8. I get a lot of lower back pain relief by using a trip wheel or even a lacrosse ball in my mid and upper traps. Do you have any strengthening exercises for this area? This is great, Moho. Yeah, I also use, my dad has a trip wheel. I bought it for him. It's been really helpful for his neck. I use something similar to a lacrosse ball. It's specifically for rolling, not made for lacrosse, but it's called a trigger point ball by Grid X. I have it right here because I use it regularly before I go surfing to increase the mobility in my thoracic spine. That's part of the program, but this is a little more advanced, higher level way of doing it, because the ball gets between the shoulder blades, whereas the foam roll it can't get between the shoulder blades, so it kind of gets blocked by the shoulder blade, those scapula, those chicken wings in the back, from getting as deep into the spine and creating as much mobility as a ball could. So I love that, recommend those. Strengthening exercises for that area are going to be, after you get that mobility, you want to train the strength or the functional, the muscles to function in that new mobility. And definitely you're in module 8, so don't forget about the front anchors awareness from module 2. That is functionally training those muscles to operate in that new range of motion that you're creating. And then it's not so much strengthening, but it's very important to get that motor control. And then if you want to add strength to that, I would say anything overhead. So you are applying the front anchor's awareness, that upper front anchor push away, and adding any weights to your arms. It could be as simple as a military press. So adding the weight is going to add resistance. It's going to create more of a demand in your body to collapse downward, the weight pushing you down, and you have to hold it open. And so that can add strengthening. There's Whitty's, which is an exercise that you can do. I can demonstrate that at some point in the future on a Swiss ball or an exercise ball. So you can look up Witty's, W-I-T-Y, and that would be one that I recommend to answer your question pretty directly. But remember, you're connecting your anchors during that. It feels like the wheel and the ball are just temporary band-aids. They are, any tool is temporary unless you integrate what it does for you into your functional movement, which comes from here, right? Controlling your body in this case, the range of motion. So you got to use your nerve and muscle connection to make it last, to make it more permanent. So hopefully that makes sense. Dave Dennis, you went to the ER last week, stayed overnight, severe low back pain, doing PT now, feeling much better. I still have a lot of pain. Question, when is it safe to resume CBT? I was on module 2. It's safe to go back to module 1, right away. I would say I would start from module 1. If it was that bad of pain that you're going to want to start over, I wouldn't just resume where you left off, because you are not the same. You're not in the same body that you were in before this ER visit, right? So I would reset from the beginning, back anchor connections. You could do that from a hospital bed, right? So I don't think you need to take time off from that. Module 1 is as safe as it gets. You're not going to hurt yourself doing module 1. And module 2, potentially I would, because the laying prone on the ground face down is a little bit vulnerable for people with tight hip flexors. I would make sure your body's just feeling good. It's not so much about time. I would almost say never rest more than 72 hours. I think that I could almost say that in every scenario, unless it was an extreme trauma. I would say never rest more than 72 hours, and that's because beyond 72 hours, there's research to support. I think it's well accepted now that your muscles start atrophying, they start eating themselves. You get weaker, you get less. You start setting yourself back further and further if you rest beyond 72 hours. You got to use those core muscles daily, really. So yeah, 1-2 days is the most I would rest. Missy, hopefully that helps with you, Dave. I would just double down on module 1. I have chronic bloating. Could that be the reason my SI ligaments have stretched, causing the SI pain? I think that's very possible. Yeah, I think it would be. In many cases, when people are trying to point to one thing, I think I'm here to be a reminder that there's almost always multiple factors. So that could be one contributing factor, and I would imagine that not everyone that has bloating has SI pain, so there's got to be some other factor, and it's probably related to, the muscles around your pelvis. So that's the glutes, the hip flexors, all the muscles that we're dealing with. So I would also I would open my perspective to include other things as well. Lifestyle too. How do you sit? What are the things that you're doing in your day? How could that be contributing? I hope you've seen the video on the things to avoid, SI joint things to avoid. You say, I used to do Roman chair back extension, thinking it would strengthen my lower back. Is this not true? It will strengthen the lower back muscles, but it's not going to be doing you a favor, because we tend to overuse our lower back muscles. They become chronically tight, and they suffer from ischemic pain. That's extremely common. The tension in those muscles is too high. The tone is too high, and they're not getting enough blood flow. So you get lower back muscle pain from that. And exercises like that are just increasing the tone in those hypertonic muscles. So we want to do the opposite. We want to do exercises that increase the tone in all the other muscles that surround the lower back, so they don't have to work as hard. Should I never do those again, so there are no benefits to the exercise? There are probably benefits, but I don't think it's not part of the, it's not in core balance training. It's not part of the solution that we use. We try to kind of counter that pattern of over using the lower back muscles. Ali, I'm not sure if this is outside. Oh, look at this. I forgot that. I'm not sure if this is outside the scope of questions that you want to answer, but I'm wondering about your opinion on mind-body syndrome and how it relates to the chronic back pain. Thank you. I don't know specifically mind-body syndrome, but I know that the mind-body connection is real. I have full 100% belief in that. And I would say that I'm a big fan of Dr. John Sarno's book, Mind-Body Connection. Was it? I forgot the name. Dr. John Sarno. I think it's. I'm blanking on that one, but that book is all about how mindset, psychology, mental state can contribute to back pain. TMS is where your muscles hold tension because of basically stress. So yeah, 100%. It's massive. It's something that we should be addressing, all of us, through awareness of the possibility that your thoughts can cause back pain. It's real. And also by figuring out, paying attention to your thoughts and finding ways to process stress in a healthier way. And the physical stuff we do with our body is a big part of that. So yeah. Yeah, that's as deep as I can go on that right now. It's Dr. John Sarno, Healing Back Pain is the title of the book. I just remembered it. So Fuzzer, hi, this is Maureen, and I look forward to learning more about deadlift and how to keep from arching my back. So that's going to be module 5, I believe. It might be module 7. Module 7, Maureen. So it's in the program, and big. And we also I have some YouTube videos on it. I don't know if it's published. I think it is published into an actual video, but it was a live stream and then a video on lifting techniques, lifting heavy objects, I think. Stoogie, thank you to all the people in the Student Hub. Yes, agree. Shelly, getting gradually better with a few not as good days in between, but not as bad as they were. Yeah, that's that 1% progress. It's the kind of the best thing you can ask for. 1% better. 1% better days, and the bad days are 1% less bad, and that you can continue, just build on that over time. Long-term solution. Yes, I can't wait. Pain seems to switch from one to the other sometimes. Any explanation? Switch from one to the other, what is my question? But pain, when pain moves, it's kind of a good sign, in my opinion, that you're on the right track. As long as it's not getting worse, move one location to another. It means you're targeting the pain, especially if it's been in one spot for a long time, and then you start doing something and it moves. Ooh, that's a good sign. Yeah, listen to your body and keep that communication, that conversation going with your body. Your body's telling you something new information. Now you listen and you respond appropriately. And I've put out a lot of content about that. There will be a live stream that was all about that will be published into a video very soon. Shelly, SI joint pain. Oh, there, you answered my question. One side to the other of SI joint. Ooh, yeah, that's just it's a common thing. It's just kind of the way I explain it is, the body has an instability in the SI joint, and it's maybe able to compensate to stabilize one side, but not both. But I prefer when things are symmetrical. So switching from one side to the other is the problem is on both sides. And so that definitely points to a global body thing, a muscular imbalance, rather than, in the rare case that it was like a trauma-caused SI joint problem. That would typically be usually on one side. So it's still going to be the same solution, which is stabilize. Stein, is it normal to feel pain in a muscle because the muscle is inhibited? Glutes. I naturally just want to say yes, but I don't actually think that. I think that inhibited muscles typically are inhibited in multiple ways, and that we have a lost connection to them, both in using them functionally and also just being aware of them, and they're very quiet. So I don't know that it's like a traditional inhibited muscle, like gluteal amnesia, but in the other sense of inhibited, where more short term, where a muscle needs to get used, you haven't been using a muscle and it's just feeling like it needs some blood flow, that can cause pain. It's ischemic pain. It's the muscle is starving and it needs to get used to get new fresh blood in there to breathe. That can be a cause of pain, but it's typically more of a short-term scenario. Robert, I watched your video on injections, PRP, stem cells. Spine doc is wanting to do the nerve burning. Yeah, so which was only moderately successful before. Any thoughts? My initial thoughts are, I don't love it. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of research. I have no history with that. I've never done it, but I know about it. I think it's ablation they call it, and it just doesn't feel right to me. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Hopefully there is another solution. PRP has lots of upside, but no downside. Like besides the prick of a needle, there's no negative side effects. So if you're going to spend $500, the nerve ablation has permanent effects, and sometimes they're not positive. So I would try the other things that don't have a permanent effect on your body, and potentially might not work, and potentially could have damaging effects. And I don't know the nerve that he's looking at, and I don't know the details to speak further about it, but those are my thoughts. Ms. Tran, if Achilles tendon caused by nerve pain, do we need to also do exercises for the ankle and calf? I don't really know of many. I haven't heard much anecdotal evidence of Achilles tendon pain being caused by a nerve. Usually that pain is more local. So Achilles tendonitis is extremely common, and it's even more common in people with a history of foot problems. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's more common that you would have, nerve, like if it's from the lower back, like nerve referral pain into the calf or the foot or the toes, but not so much the Achilles tendon. If you're feeling it right in the tendon, it's most likely that the actual tendon has an issue, and most likely highest probability that is inflammation, tendonitis, inflammation of the tendon, because it's probably getting overused in many cases, and that is usually from an imbalance in the foot. So Ms. Tran, I do have foot on the radar, as I mentioned earlier, for a topic, and I'd like to do that potentially even next week. The problem with me that's been holding me back is it's such a large topic. I could have an entire YouTube channel about the foot. And so I'm finding it hard to put everything into one video. It's probably going to be 2 videos because I'm not going to dedicate a whole channel. And so would you tell me, Ms. Tran, if you're still here, are you on the pronated flat foot side of the spectrum, or are you on the high arch supinated side of the spectrum with foot and ankle issues? Also, what do you think of lateral walk of the band? I love it. Is it good for the SI joint? If you're doing it in a healthy way, yeah, it can be really good. And I should do that as a demonstration video. Fuzzer, maybe you will cover, already answered that. Kim, how does CBT create space to help with stenosis? Thanks, love the program. So CBT does nothing, but the breathing that we teach in the program can create space by increasing your intra-abdominal pressure. So the pressure literal pressure, like in a balloon, inside your abdomen can increase through closing off the leakage that usually the front wall of the chamber that is your abdomen, which is your belly. The pressure usually spills out the front like that. So if we can close that off by increasing the tone, the tension, the natural resting tension of the abdominal muscles, then your inhale and your breath can increase the intra-abdominal pressure. And the way that the pressure creates space is because if you have a closed chamber like this, and this part doesn't expand, the amount that this part expands decreases, but you put tons more pressure in it, then the expansion has to go out the top and the bottom. And so we can actually get taller through our breath. And also, there's probably can create even more space just by correcting the muscle imbalances that lead to things like anterior pelvic tilt. Anterior pelvic tilt directly causes stenosis because it creates a lordosis in the spine, which is a backward bending of the spine. And when the spine is backward bending, it closes down the spaces between the vertebrae in the back of the spine. That's where the nerves and the blood vessels come out. So if you can improve your posture, you can open up the space between the vertebrae. So there's two ways to do it, and we try to address both of those in the program. And the work that accomplishes that is all done by the students get the credit for any success you have, any progress you make. You get the 100% of the credit because the program does nothing except educate and provide guidance. I lost my spot, but that's a really good question. Joseph Sanchez. Hi, Dr. Ryan. What's the best way to stretch the hamstrings? Every morning I wake up with tight lower back. So this is a really interesting question because you want to stretch your hamstrings, which is a leg muscle, but your problem is tight lower back muscles. The best way to stretch the hamstrings is not going to be a specific technique. So I'm going to answer your questions literally, and then I will share my opinion. It's not going to be a technique like touch your toes or sitting, L sit, or using the doorway or the wall. It's going to be any of those techniques. The best way to do it is with hinging at the hip and making sure you're not rounding your lower back. And because if you're accomplishing touching your toes simply by rounding your lower back, you're not actually stretching your hamstrings. You're stretching your lower back muscles. And in conjunction with that, you're flexing or forward bending all the joints in your lumbar spine. And if those joints are irritated from being overused because you don't use your hips enough, you don't hip hinge enough, so the lower back's just taking all that movement all the time, then guess what? The lower back muscles try to protect those injured joints, the discs, the facets, everything in there. And the way they do that is by tightening up. And so it looks like you're in that cycle of thinking that you're stretching your hamstrings, but actually stretching your lower back muscles and potentially irritating the lower back, which the stretching of the lower back muscles feels good in the moment because you're getting more blood flow. They're super tight muscles. That's painful. They're not getting enough blood flow. It's ischemic pain. You stretch them out, they get more blood flow. That feels good. But what happens underneath those muscles is the joints are getting stressed, the ligaments, the discs. And so potentially stressing those joints is going to keep you in the cycle. Like I said, the muscles will tighten right back up to protect. So the best way to stretch the hamstrings is to make sure you're actually stretching the hamstrings. Keep the core connected, keep your anchors connected, keep that torso, the spine, more, for lack of a better term, straight, and hinge at the hips. Make sure the stretch is actually going in the hamstring muscles. Now I'll share my opinion. It's very short. I don't actually think that stretching the hamstrings is really all that necessary. This is totally against everything we've been told our entire lives. You got back pain, stretch your hamstrings. It's because you got tight hamstrings. I've been told that since I was a little kid. Well, it doesn't really make sense to me based on everything I know, everything I've learned about the body. Biomechanically, it doesn't make sense. And I don't really see a lot of benefit in lengthening the hamstrings. I got to stop it there. I could go down a whole rabbit hole with that. But that's my belief. So, Kara, all right, thank you for the positive feedback on, I'm assuming, the kettlebell video. Back anchor challenge, Stian. Is doing this every day too much if I find this exercise very challenging? It's not if you're counterbalancing it, because it's a very one-sided exercise. You're in basically the fetal position. So you want to be counterbalancing that with something the opposite, like the bridge, because this is hip flexor shortening. It's core strengthening, but it's also hip flexor shortening. So you want to lengthen those hip flexors and also be core strengthening. So bridge and back anchor challenge are great counterbalance exercises. Marta, I think someone asked before, but can you please do a video on bending down to reach into household appliances or drawers, cabinets that are low to the ground when the reach is asymmetrical? Ooh, that's really specific and good. I hope you have seen the video. I'm copying this to paste it at some point into a document. There's a video we put out on squatting, like functionally to do things like gardening, how I recommend deep squatting, and that is on YouTube. So it may help, because squatting is one healthy way, if you're doing it in a healthy way, to get down into a cabinet. So, but there are other ways, and I can think about that. Stoogie Student Hub versus Coaching Hub. Coaching Hub is going to be coming to the Student Hub. It's going to be private access for just a small, I don't know how it's going to look, but right now the Coaching Hub is in a different community. It's been kind of closed off to new students because it got too full and it was taking too much of my time, but now it's getting empty again, and I'm going to move it into the space of the new student hub. I'm not sure what it's going to look like yet, so I'm taking recommendations, but it's really hard for me to handle a large number of students in the coaching hub the way it currently is. It either has to be a really small number of people, or I have to change the way that I coach, because right now I'm coaching, they're paying for this. They're paying a fair amount, but I'm coaching very thoroughly. And there's only one, I have limited capacity. So that's the current problem. Madhavi, it will be great if Dr. Brian can demonstrate breathing. This is the first lesson in the program. So I can do a different, like a combo video, back, front anchor, breathing, but it is very heavy focus in the beginning of the program. I mean, it's in the back anchor lesson, it's in the front anchor lesson, and it is just the breathing lesson of its own is the very first lesson of the program. So Madhavi, can you be more specific on how you want me to demonstrate breathing? Stein, kettlebell, oh yeah, I already answered that. Grant, already read that. Yes, be healthy, live healthy. Thank you, Grant, for the shameless plug. Actually, I prompted you, so it was not shameless. What's the best remedy for plantar fasciitis? I really do recommend this podcast. It's on the longer side, but I thought it went really well. What's the best remedy for plantar fasciitis? Okay. I'm gonna say it in a nutshell, but I'm gonna do a whole video on it. Ankle mobility, making sure you have adequate ankle mobility is, in my opinion, the best solution to plantar fasciitis. If you already have good ankle mobility, we have to explore somewhere else. But this is going to be hopefully next week's video. Miss Tran, where are we? Oh, piriformis syndrome and SI joints. How to distinguish these two? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put this on the list. I think that's a good topic, how to distinguish two, but I can't copy another file or another thing, so I have an issue right now. Asti, if you're still here, would you mind copying these topic suggestions into the document? You probably already have, but thank you. Can issues in the lower back cause symptoms out into the arms and hands? No. Clear as day answer, no. Issues in the neck can cause symptoms into the arms and hands, but issues in the lower back can cause the body to kind of go haywire, like everything can kind of get out of balance. And yes, you can have also simultaneously issues in the arms and hands, but it can't directly, like from a nerve perspective, cause it. It's most likely coming from your neck if it's a nerve referral. But yeah, haywire, body can just be completely out of balance, and that's common with lower back pain, and there will be problems elsewhere as well. Susan, new student, I'm an ultra-distance cyclist and a poster child for all the imbalances your program is trying to fix. Given all the hours spent in the counterproductive sport, can I fix my issues? Yes. So we've dealt with, welcome to the program, Susan. Glad to have an ultra-distance cyclist in the program. I'm assuming that's over 100 miles regularly, and it is a counterproductive body position, so you're going to want to counterbalance that by doing something like the bridge in a healthy way. So you're in the program, so make sure you're doing it in a healthy way with the strong core connection before and after your rides. And basically, you're going extreme with this fetal position. Essentially, you're exercising in the fetal position, so you're going to have to want to go extreme with the cross training, things that open your body. Can you pick up a hobby like I don't know, stand-up paddling is really good. Open body position. You're exercising, your core and your arms, so it's like really good counterbalance for cycling. That's the way you're going to have to do it. You're not going to fix your issues by, I'm assuming that you don't want to cycle less. So that's the assumption, because I've dealt with a lot of runners and cyclists and surfers and golfers, and these are the people that are not willing to do their passion less. So this is going to be about counterbalancing and developing a healthier way to relate to your body while in your sport. Can you do core cycling? What does that mean? It means whatever it means to you. Can you cycle more with your core and less with you make sure your core is your center of power? Think about your core when you're riding. Make sure it's engaged and that your movements are originating from your powerhouse. These are other things you can do. Thank you, Asti, for the moderation. What am I at? 50 minutes. So we'll go. I'll go as long as I can. I appreciate that, Asti. Ali, mind-body connection. All right. I don't even know what stream that is, but cool. Meredith. Hi there, just finished Module 3 and noticing more progress. Heck yeah, Meredith. Love it. One question. When I'm in the bridge, a lot of blood rushes in my head and my head hurts when I sit up. Any ways to minimize this? There are ways to minimize it. And that is more of a rare thing that I've seen, but it makes perfect sense. You're getting upside down. So when people have issues with, so this is the big picture perspective. When people have issues with blood rushing in or out of their head, that can be improved. So that's called orthostatic hypotension or hypertension. And it means your blood pressure in your head, often it's in the head, is dependent on your body position. And that can be improved simply by improving your general fitness. So more walking, more cardiovascular type activity in your life. So that's one. That's big picture. Now we're going to zoom in. How can you do the bridge in a different way? One thing you can do is you can do the bridge where you are, like we have a lesson in the program called Bridge on the Foam Roll. That would elevate your head so it's more parallel with the rest of your body rather than below the rest of your torso. And so that would address that gravity problem. Or you can just do the bridge where you are, say, on like the landing of a staircase. So you have like, you're basically on an open space where you have one step below you or a couple steps below you, and your torso is up on the landing and your feet are down below on the step below or the 2 steps below, depending on how tall you are. And so your torso is level with the ground, and your feet are below you. So that's another way to do it. You can also get creative and bridge on really anything. Swiss ball. I've bridged on logs, rocks, hills, you name it. I bridge on the beach where the beach is slanted. I do this almost every day. The beach is slanted, so my head is actually parallel with my knees because my feet are down below me, and they're on the lower part of the slanted beach. So just bridging on a hill. Great question. Madavi, the dull pain in the left shin, most troubling pain for me, frequently has reduced. Awesome. The front anchors exercise yesterday came back. Seen weakness in the left knee area since last 1 week. Any suggestions? So this seems like maybe potentially a referral pain, maybe from the lower back, maybe, I don't know. It has reduced, so that's good. The front anchors yesterday came back. So this is telling me, so here's my thoughts. This is telling me, Madhavi, that the front anchor's position is vulnerable in the sense that it can exacerbate conditions related with stenosis. If you are don't have a strong pubic bone connection. For people who are just early on in the program, just doing the front anchors awareness exercise from module 2, they can have little exacerbations from that if before developing that strong pubic bone to rib cage connection, anchoring that pubic bone to the floor. Because if you have tight hip flexors and you're opening up your hips like that, you're in the prone, fully open position, it's going to be pulling on that lower back. Those hip flexors are pulling on the lower back. So bridging right before you get into that position can help. Really just trying to warm up beforehand, go for a walk and relax into the position, and learn how to do it with that strong pubic bone connection to the floor. That can help keep that stenosis open, keep that lower back open, so that it wouldn't exacerbate any kind of nerve impingement from a stenosis. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Grant, Joe Dispenza is great when discussing how thoughts can affect us physically. Yes, he is. Joe Dispenza has written some excellent books. He is on the extreme end of mind-body connection. So you got to be ready for Joe Dispenza. I recommend his books more than his YouTube videos because the videos do get a little bit woo-woo, where the books do feel a lot more practical, even though they are not. There's nothing practical about it. But yeah, I believe in a lot of his stuff. I mean, it's powerful stuff. Makes sense. I just started module 7. Looking forward to it. All right, that was probably to an answer to your questions. I'm going to go until 1 o'clock. So, thank you, Asti, for that. I'm going to go until 1 o'clock. So I have 5 more minutes of answering questions. I probably won't be able to answer any more. If you haven't posted yet, I would recommend not posting because I probably won't get to it. So here we are with Miss Tran. Doctor did an ultrasound on my Achilles tendonitis and found no inflammation. I guess it is referred pain. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I just don't know about how an ultrasound can be that certain. I think there's a lot of room for false negative in this test. I'm going to go ahead and say it. There's a lot of possibility that this is a false negative. I think you have a history of foot problems, and Achilles tendonitis is extremely common in that. So I'm still going to stand by my original statement. SI joints in that case, do we need to focus on only balancing and stabilizing instead of calf ankle exercises? I don't know what this is in reference to. It probably was a previous question. Yeah, I mean, ankle mobility is important. The calves, here's the test. If you can't do 20 calf raises, then your calves probably aren't strong enough. But most people are okay. Like, I would focus on balancing and stabilizing, and yeah, less focus on the distal, farther things away from your core. The farther they are away from your core, I think the more distracting they can be away from what I think should be the true focus. Hopefully that makes sense. But ankle mobility is critical, connection with the ground. So make sure you have a good ankle dorsiflexion. We'll go over that next week. Meredith, I don't really feel a hip flexor stretch when I'm in the bridge. That's great. Should the stretch be noticeable, or is it getting stretched even though I don't necessarily notice it? It may be that you don't have tight hip flexors, Meredith, or it may be that you are bridging into an anterior pelvic tilt and you're not getting any stretch into your hip flexors because the anterior tilt is so deeply ingrained that you're just not able to break through. So either the hip flexors are super tight and they're not budging, and so you're not able to stretch them like a stiff rubber band that's too stiff to stretch, or and the other rubber band that's trying to pull against it is not as stiff, so it's always going to go into the other rubber band, which would represent the other muscles like the glutes, or the glutes and the abdominals, really. Or you don't have tight hip flexors, and there's 20% of people that with back pain that don't have tight hip flexors, and they're more of a flat back type pattern, and you can still benefit from the program. We've had a lot of people benefit from the program, so I don't really know how it works, but they seem to benefit from all the same stuff. So that's what I got for you there. Guillermo, hello to New York, Guillermo. Grant, I've only heard of radio frequency ablation for facet joints. Yeah, that is the main area where I've heard of it as well, but I've also heard of it I've seen a guy, he was not in good shape, who had it for the lower back. I felt bad for that guy. You'll have a test where they numb that nerve first, which will gauge whether that is a fix. That is true. Yeah, so they'll just do a numbing agent most likely, and that I would not get the ablation unless that test was a clear positive. Connor, feeling a lot of tension in the front of your delts. Oh wow, neck and chest while doing the bridge. Is this normal? Any advice on how to reduce? It's pretty common, Connor, and that is because most likely abdominal weakness, abdominal inhibition is causing your body to bring in other muscles, to like accessory muscles, to kind of help, because it's just a pattern. It's a compensation pattern. And so we recruit more muscles to the party when we can't do the job. So if as your abdominals get stronger, continue to have the focus of this being an abdominal movement, abdominals and glutes. And as they get stronger over time, hopefully your body can be recruiting less of those accessory neck, chest, and shoulder muscles. So I'm at 1 o'clock, so I have to keep my word. You're welcome, Stephanie. You're welcome, Joseph. And I don't see any more questions. So I'm just going to do this last one that I did see from Shelly. And it was, headstand bench I'll do Sarah and Shelly. Headstand bench. I like getting upside down. I don't think it's going to be a solution to most things, but it can be a really great thing to add to your life, and it can help. I like the idea of getting upside down. Yeah. So, yep. Shelly, hip flexors hurt during the night, but I'm sleeping in your recommended SI joint position, the wedge suggestions. Oh, gosh, this is kind of a big one, big answer. Why do they hurt during the night? There could be different reasons for that. Hopefully it's a temporary thing. I've experienced it before, and it's kind of sometimes like a phase that I feel like the hip flexors go through as you're making changes to your body. So I would be patient with that. Keep doing whatever the things that you feel are helping you, and hopefully you can work through that phase where the hip flexors are getting a little angry at night. They're maybe not, they're just, hopefully it's a transitional period of your body readjusting and towards a more balanced state, more balanced muscular tension. So that's the best I can do for now. Meredith, you're very welcome. Awesome. Yeah, definitely don't get the headstand bench, Meredith. Not yet. Maybe work up towards that in a year or two. You're welcome, Jackie. All right, guys. Well, that's today. We went for about an hour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for the recommendations on future topics for me to demonstrate. And that's it. So thanks for being here. Give this stream a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching. Tell your friends, anybody you think this might help. And until next time, get down on the floor and connect to your core. Take care, everyone.